Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and I've got my top 5 snap-on tools that draw blood here in front of me. These are tools that when I'm using them, I'm not surprised when all of a sudden there's blood running down my fingers, or I poke myself with something, or it slips and I slice through my skin. But anyway, here they are, and you'll notice there's actually 6 snap-ons and an extra here, so I'm going to do the top 5, you get a bonus, and I'll tell you what that's about in a sec. So the number 1 is this. This particular pick I have cut myself with more than any other tool, and possibly more times than all the other tools combined. And this particular guy, I use it a lot for cleaning things out, and I'm often holding something on this end and then it breaks free and I've got a puncture wound. It's like clockwork, and it's razor sharp. In fact, I keep it sharp. A lot of times I'll use a like one of my diamond, grab this, one of my little diamond files, which by the way, these things are fabulous. I've done a couple of videos on them, but anyway, just to make sure, because the sharper it is for what I do, the more effective it is. But I cut myself or poke myself with this more than any other tool. The second is a wire brush, in particular the stainless steel one. And I'm always getting little puncture wounds here, or as I'm trying to clean out something, usually an old pair of pliers or something, I end up getting stabbed by one of these. So this particular one is a stainless steel snap-on brush. If I moved up to something like this, and in fact this particular one, this is a Blue Hawk, I can't even imagine using this without drawing blood. It's every time I grab it I draw blood. This one I use more often, so that's why it wins. But this guy here, these hard steel bristles, I'm just constantly getting, you can see that little guy there. He's just looking for my skin to poke in. Not bad. It's painful for a while. You forget about it an hour later, but I routinely cut myself with those. The third one are some of these smaller screwdrivers when I'm using them improperly. You can see this one's kind of chipped up here, but sometimes I'll be digging in or using it as a pry bar, and of course it slips and just slices right through your finger. Like clockwork, I expect it, especially when I'm misusing tools. But the tiny snap-on screwdrivers, not the real little ones, I'm pretty careful with those, but about this size right here are the ones that end up sticking in my finger. This one, now you can buy these pliers, or these kind of Talon grip needle nose, both with and without the cutter. And why would you want to buy them without the cutter? And the reason is because it's pretty easy to cut yourself with the cutter. You're kind of working and all of a sudden something slips and it closes and you lop yourself off right there. And I have done that, quite often. I understand I'm risking it, especially if I'm prying or I've got my fingers, really close to the jaws, or I'm adding some force. But I do expect that maybe 1 out of every 10 times I use this for some sort of higher leverage task, I'm going to cut myself or nip off a chunk of my skin. And I have gotten on the case of some plier companies because they have stiff pliers. I have really hurt myself with stiff pliers when I'm trying to do some intricate task close to the blade with a lot of pressure on them. And I just know that this particular one, there's a good chance I might zap myself with it. Obviously, the utility knife. I routinely cut myself, especially if I am screwing around with it, trying to get in somewhere, something real fine, adding too much pressure. I just find that anytime I've got a sharp blade like this, I'm risking a good nip right in my finger. And it happens. I'm used to it. I don't try to do that. I don't want it to happen, but I know a lot of times when I'm using a utility knife, especially if it's wet or cold or slippery or something, that there's a good chance I'm gonna slip and give myself a little bit of an owie. Last one on the list here are these split ring pliers. For some reason, I end up holding, like I'm trying to get the split ring in there. These snap-on just seem a little thick, that I'll be holding it and prying it, and then I end up making a little jab with the tool into my finger. Usually I'm trying to apply a bunch of pressure, to stretch the split ring or something, then it slips and pop, and there it goes. So I'm not, you know, saying that these are really dangerous, but I expect that could happen. Just part of the game. So anyway, here are my top snap-on tools that I'm just expecting to see blood in the workspace when I use these. And I'm curious what yours are. No power tools on this list. Again, I'm very careful about those. The top power tools that inflict injury, obviously circular saws, table saws might be the number one. And I have had to clean up after some table saw messes. A good friend of mine cut off a couple of his fingers, and I went over to his house to, afterwards, and there was a nice stripe of blood. You could see it across the workbench there, up the wall, across the ceiling. It was a mess. He had removed the guard. That's usually the story. Chainsaws, super dangerous. Drills, people usually wind them around something, their coats, or a lot of workmen who are wearing hoodies take out the string poles on the hood because those get wrapped up in spinning tools, and they drag either the tool up to your face or they drag your face down to the tool. So it's all the way a bad idea. So a lot of the spinning blade stuff and sharp cutting tools are bad. Angle grinders, I guess, are in there. Riding lawnmowers made the list. And I do know a guy at a kind of an acquaintance back in the South who was driving along and in Bliss, tipped his lawnmower over because a couple of wheels went off, and these are the riding lawnmowers, and it tipped over on him, rolled again, and that's when his foot got in the blades. But anyway, this is my list of hand tools. These are the things I expect will draw blood, and tell me what's on your list. And with that, Doc out.